and a very warm welcome to you all. Great to have you for this online masterclass, the first of its type. My name is Marion. I'm based between London and the south of France, where I am now, and I came across some of the solutions we are going to talk about today 19 years ago, and they have really changed, impacted the quality of life for myself, my family, and many people I know. And today we are really in for a treat. I've been lucky and honored to work with Dr. Ben for the past 19 years. Dr. Ben, you started working with this platform, I think over 23 years ago. Originally, you have an MIT degree engineer, degree from MIT, and then you chose to study medicine. Why not after MIT? And study medicine from University of Columbia in New York City, and then chose to really start as a family doctor, caring for families in a doctor's office, the classical way, I would say. And then you chose to work a bit differently and transition from your doctor's office to really reach more people on a bigger scale than just in the doctor's office in terms of wellness. And today I know you're more excited than ever to share what we're going to talk about in terms of healthy aging, in terms of longevity, prevention, and ways to measure the way we are aging internally in terms of nutritional health. Thank you again so much for accepting our invitation to being with us. Can you tell us a bit more maybe about you? You are a busy dad of 7 children, which is one of the reasons you decided to transition, to spend more time with your family. And then, yes, guide us through some tips and also the very exciting innovation and breakthrough nutritional tracker we are currently implementing and expanding worldwide.
I'm excited to have this time with you. So thank you, Mario, and thank you for inviting me, and to all of you in Europe who invited me. And now I saw we have people all the way across the world in Australia, and I know we have a number in North America as well. And I'm excited to be with you in this time because we are pioneering a next level, really being able to improve our health, our loved ones' health, and the health of the world, and to be able to do that together. So thank you all for being curious, for being interested, and for coming today to explore this. So I want to open up with a question. And those of you who aren't driving or in a place where you can type in the chat, I'd love to hear your answer to this. So let me ask you this. If you had to choose one thing to let go, to allow to decline over the coming years, if you had to choose one thing, what would it be? Your brain, your vision, your heart health, your bone or joint health, or your skin? Go ahead and type in the chat. I'd love to see which one are you willing to let go? Ah, okay. First one. A bunch of you guys are saying none. One person said skin. All right. How many of you that desire to say, wait a minute, I don't want to have to choose? None is my answer. Okay. But did you realize that your body may be making that choice for you every time that you're not giving it the micronutrients it needs? Okay, what do I mean by that? What we've discovered, it's called the triage model of nutritional health, is that if your body isn't getting all the micronutrients to keep your brain and nervous system working, your heart pumping, your bone and joints healthy, your vision, it's going to actually borrow from one area to keep you alive today at the expense of letting things decline over time. Now, how many of you in hearing that would love to be able to know where you are and be able to improve that so your body doesn't have to choose and you can live healthier longer? That's what we're talking about today. So I'm going to pull up some slides. And the first thing here is, yes, this is my family that Marion just mentioned. So my wife and my 7 kids. Let me pull this up. So we're very privileged to have walked this journey from family medicine into partnering with many of you around the world and bringing this awareness. And I want to highlight something because how many of you are making conscious choices? How many of you, first of all, know that maybe you're not eating or living as healthy as you could? You know there's room for improvement. How many of you are there? Okay. Now, how many of you are actively working out, exercising, trying to eat more fresh, organic food, trying to make healthy choices? Now, some of us are like this wall. This was a wall in our bathroom. It looks fine on the outside. And just today, I was talking with someone who was just encountering also some people who are very physically active, look very fit and healthy on the outside. But here's what we discovered behind the wall. Okay, was this pipe that is rusting. And this pipe is about 100 years old. Okay, now how many of you realize this amount of rust did not happen overnight? This was happening silently behind the wall for years until it became a big enough problem that it was dripping down into our basement, and eventually we had to have the wall torn out and the pipe torn out and replaced. Okay, so it was a big project by the time we discovered it. Now, this is something called oxidation. Rust is actually a form of oxidation. It's the same thing that makes an apple turn brown. But how many of you realize this was actually a new connection, connecting the dots in my own head? How many of you realize that day to day we're being exposed to oxidative stress or essentially internal rusting? And how many of you would like your brain not to rust or your eyes and your heart not to rust? Okay. But that's what's happening potentially silently behind an intact wall, behind your intact exterior, if you're not giving yourself, replenishing the nutrients that neutralize that oxidative stress. So when we talk about oxidative stress, I'm going to go into a little bit of detail, some science today for this wellness masterclass, but I'm also going to then highlight key takeaways for those of you that just want the big picture and don't care as much about the details. So think of anytime we talk about oxidative stress, we're talking about rusting inside in your tissues. Now here's a list of different examples of sources of oxidative stress, all the way from the sun and UV light to all the extra radiation we get exposed to with air travel, but also, and of course, tobacco, both vaping and cigarette smoke, alcohol consumption, different stresses on our metabolism, including imbalances in our blood sugar, pollution, chemicals. We kind of know some of this, but we don't know that there are parts like our own consumption and behaviors and things like stress and even sleep deprivation that can increase our oxidative stress and make it harder for our body to keep things in balance. And so this kind of oxidative stress is happening on an ongoing basis. Now, some amount of stress is actually good for us. That's why we have gravity, and weight bearing actually helps our bones, and people work out, they're stressing their muscles. Some amount is actually good for us, but if it gets out of balance or these chronic toxic exposures or chronic sleep deprivation and stress, then it creates wear and tear. And now we start getting the scenario like that pipe rusting behind the wall. So, how many of you would like to do something about that? So that's what we're talking about here. Now, there's something quite fascinating, and I want to talk to you about it. And it's actually, I want to go kind of deep, and it's our mitochondria. And these are the little organelles in our cells, okay, that make ATP. Do you guys remember your high school biology? They make cellular energy. But what's so significant? Because they make cellular energy, this is the very energy of life that is needed for every process in your body. These are just some examples here, from brain health to heart health to regulating your metabolism, even immune system and inflammatory balance. And your immune system includes your body being able to police and keep out abnormal cells and abnormal growth, and of course, cellular repair and aging. It even goes all the way down, not only muscle health, but to egg and sperm health. So mitochondria are really key to life. But there's something that our mitochondria are very susceptible to. Actually, two things. One, as we age, as we're here on this earth, our mitochondria decrease in number and in efficiency. And secondly, they're very susceptible to oxidative stress or rusting. And what's interesting, I'm gonna have to keep sipping so I can talk here. But what's interesting is if our mitochondria get damaged by oxidative stress, they start releasing more pollution, more exhaust, if you will. Just like a car engine that's no longer working as efficiently, it releases more exhaust. And what happens is it becomes a vicious oxidative stress cycle. And it can be a downward spiraling cycle unless you neutralize it. And one of the things that really helps neutralize oxidative stress is a family of antioxidants called carotenoids. And so I'm going to talk to you both about this specific family, and then we're going to talk about antioxidants overall. And as I'm talking about antioxidants, antioxidants, by their name, are things that help neutralize oxidative stress. That's why they're called antioxidants. Okay. And just remember, oxidative stress is that rusting. So antioxidants help protect you from that internal rusting. Now, one important family of these antioxidants are carotenoids, which come from carrots. That's kind of how you can remember that because of the name carot or carotenoid. Okay. But also tomatoes, squash. In a moment, I'm going to show you it comes from a lot of foods. You might even be surprised. And now we know, after decades of research, we know that carotenoids themselves play a critical role because they actually get into the membrane, not only of all of our cells, but also all of our mitochondria. And they act like the fire extinguishers, putting out the excess oxidative stress that we're bombarded by if we have enough carotenoids in our membranes. Okay. And so that's what I just wanted to highlight for you on this slide. Carotenoids get into our membranes and they are like the fire extinguishers putting out the oxidative stress. And what's beautiful, the way nature creates things, is that it still allows the normal signaling. Like I mentioned, when you work out, when you stress on purpose to create some signaling and some changes in your body and some healthy growth, it allows that while putting out the excess fires of excess oxidative stress in your brain and body. And these are just some of the areas that we now know. In fact, your carotenoid levels are now have been in different university research centers have been correlated with improved brain health. They're correlated with improved eye health. In fact, carotenoids are very key in brain tissue and in eye tissue. They protect your macula, okay, and your retina and your vision. In fact, your body naturally concentrates them there in order to protect your vision, but only if you're replenishing them on an ongoing basis because you're using your vision, right? You're using your eyes and your brain all the time. So if you don't replenish them, those levels can decrease and then your tissues become vulnerable. Heart health is another major area, skin health, okay? And then also our immune system, including inflammatory balance. So these are direct benefits of carotenoids. And in a moment, I'm going to show you why that's so important because for the first time, we can make the ability for you to see your carotenoid levels non-invasively available to you. And that hasn't been possible like this until now. That's not all, though. What's interesting, the tissue carotenoid levels now have actually been shown to reflect your overall intake of fruits and vegetables. And if you see the final sentence down the bottom here, they're a biomarker of antioxidant capacity. So your carotenoid levels actually correlate with your overall antioxidant protection and the balance you have between oxidative stress and how good your antioxidant tissue levels are to neutralize that. Okay. And so we're actually today going to talk to you about a new nutritional health biomarker that hasn't been available to the general public before, but is now available. It can empower you and your loved ones and even your kids to make healthier choices. And we'll talk about what some of those healthier choices are here in a moment. So now here's the slide I mentioned. We're going to show you a picture and also naming a number of foods that are rich in carotenoids, not only antioxidants, okay? Generally, where do we find antioxidants? Okay, we find them both in nature, generally in any food that has color. That's generally a good clue that it has antioxidants in it. And then secondly, your body makes some, but not enough to keep up with the ongoing oxidative stress. So nature has provided it. And here are foods that are actually specifically rich in carotenoids. So in addition to your carrots and your squash and your tomatoes, you can see there are a lot of other foods as well, even things that you might not initially think of, like leafy greens that are a different color, black and purple rice, even avocados. Okay, and even eggs are rich in carotenoids. So you have a number of different foods that are in this. And I want you to, you might even want to take a snapshot of this or write down any foods here that you like that you see on this page or listed here, because one of the ways to neutralize oxidative stress is to start intentionally putting more of these on your plate and in your diet. Okay, now here, for those of you that like more words, here's another list of foods that are rich in carotenoids. So both antioxidants and carotenoids specifically. Okay, even kidney beans. So you can see a number, and then of course the eggs, even millet, a number of different things. Those of you who want to take a picture of this, you can grab that, and your oranges, your grapefruit, your persimmons. Okay, so these are foods that are rich in carotenoids and antioxidants overall. Now, I want to talk to you. So, we're talking about a new biomarker. One of the biggest trends in wellness today is turning data into demand. I'm just curious, any of you that are able to mention in the chat, how many of you are or normally wear either a ring or a watch or some kind of device that is tracking some parameter of your health or your activity daily? How many of you are doing that? Okay. Some of you can just raise your hand. So, measurement is the new medicine. It's the key to better health, stronger performance, and longer, more vibrant life, because measurement changes behavior. When we can start seeing and measuring and tracking, we can actually change things. Now, as we're tracking our steps, we're closing our rings, maybe we're measuring the quality of our sleep. Let me ask you a question that none of these other devices are looking into, and that is, who's actually tracking this biomarker of your nutritional health at the tissue level and letting you see kind of behind that wall and see how vulnerable you are to rust, to oxidative stress in your internal tissues and organs. That's what we're talking about today, because we believe you deserve to know. Now, as I mentioned, just like that pipe, most disease builds up silently, usually over 5, 10, or even 15 years. And how many of you have noticed or kind of come to a place yourself where you're no longer wanting to depend just on catching a problem after it happens, but you're really wanting to stay healthier longer and, if possible, avoid problems or push them down the road? Okay. So that's what we're talking about. Rather than waiting till blood test or lab test or show up a problem, an abnormality in your blood sugar or health, or you actually develop a health problem, what if we can start showing people their nutritional health? And remember, I said that measurement changes behavior, help them even all the way down to our kids start making healthier choices. And we'll talk about some really simple choices that they could make every day that could put them on a healthier path. And what's powerful is little choices made today and day in and day out compound over time to put you, it might not seem that different right now, but over time, that difference, let's see if I can see it stay in the camera, can become very great over the years to come in terms of the current path of health and possible decline you might be on, and changing that to a whole new path of living healthier longer. All right, so how do we do that? I'm going to introduce to you this device. Marion held it up at the very beginning. For the first time, it fits in the palm of your hand. It's something called Prysm IO. This has been over 23 years in development. Okay, it uses 5 wavelengths of light. Over 20 million scans have been done worldwide to develop this technology, and it's a huge breakthrough. In fact, it actually, just real briefly, don't worry if this is too much science, but I'll just mention real briefly, it uses something called spectral ray technology or hyperspectral absorption. And these are 5 wavelengths of light that are flashing 700,000 times a second from the tip of your finger or your child's finger, because it can be kids or adults. And it's then using an AI algorithm to correlate this with that 20 years of data gathered from around the world about tissue levels of carotenoids and all the history I was just talking about that we now know, to give a meaningful index of exactly where you are today, and then be able to track and improve that. So it's just another slide kind of showing that. And it's based on Raman technology. The original light technology actually was based on Nobel Prize winning science, but then has been advanced to this spectral ray technology. And we just had a paper just published. We not only know that this correlates with prior tissue measurements using lasers, but that this directly has been correlated with blood serum carotenoid levels. So it's very accurate, very significant, and for the first time, puts the power of tracking this nutritional health biomarker in your own hands. All right. Now, what does that mean? So this is going to actually give a color score, and you can kind of see it on the screen here. It's kind of color coded. Yellow, you can see kind of in the middle here. And what I like to highlight for people, what do you think of when you see a yellow light when you're driving in traffic? Yellow means caution. Pay attention. You don't want to stay there. Okay. And of course, whenever you see a red flashing light, like red over here all the way at the bottom left, that's never a good sign. If you see it on your car's dashboard or anywhere else in life, that's a warning sign, right? What does green mean? Green means keep going. When you see a green traffic light, and where you optimally want to be is in the blue and ideally even into the purple. Shows strong tissue levels of carotenoids and good reserves. Okay, so higher Prysm scores reflect stronger antioxidant protection. And this is interesting. I want to really highlight this for you guys, the meaning of what we're measuring here, because carotenoids, all that we've been talking about, this family of antioxidants and all those fruits and vegetables just showed, carotenoids never exist in nature. And in the health solutions that I'm going to talk to you about in a moment, they never exist in nature or in our nutritional solutions alone. They're always combined with other healthy nutrients, either in nature or in our solutions. So when you see these levels go up, it's also reflected of your intake of other healthy nutrients that again are replenishing your nutritional bank account so your body doesn't have to choose what to let decline over the coming years. And it doesn't have to focus just on keeping you alive today, but can really create sustainable long-term health and help you live healthier longer. Second idea I want to really anchor for you is that raising your nutritional health levels and raising your score, which reflects it, actually makes everything else work better. Okay. Because whether you're already someone who's very healthy and you want to replenish and renew and really get things to an optimal level, you could really optimize further. Or whether you're someone who does have maybe some hormone imbalances, maybe you're facing surgery or maybe an injury and recovering from that. Well, having healthy nutritional levels at the tissue level equips your body to be able to handle whatever it has to face more effectively. So this is another factor I want to really anchor for us all is that raising your levels, raising your score makes everything else work better. Okay, now let's move into action steps that you can take. So one is this device is available, and the person who invited you can help you both either get your skin or learn how to get one of these devices for you, for your family, for your household. Second, here are three simple steps to really raise your score. Okay. One, and sometimes when I'm in front of a live audience, I like to actually use my hands. So I'm going to use them right here. One is we want to reduce the oxidative stress. Okay, we want to bring the oxidative stress down. So I want to ask you right now, some of you could put this in the chat or put this in your notes or just picture in your mind this week, what's one area of oxidative stress you could reduce? And let me remind you of them. Is it getting a little better sleep? Is it turning off your phone 15 minutes earlier? Maybe having a little wind down time with a little dimmer lights, putting on some music or reading or journaling or praying, okay, before bed and getting a little better sleep? Is it taking some breaks during the day or getting outside to walk to kind of reduce your stress levels? Is it, cutting back a little bit on your vaping or your smoking? I heard some of our health practitioners that are scanning people said even if people just decrease the wattage on their vape, that it actually improves their score. Okay, so what is one area you could reduce the oxidative stress? Maybe it's decreasing one piece of junk food. Because how many of us know, okay, we need to make some changes, but it's too vague or it's too overwhelming, so we don't take any step. Right now, I want you to anchor one step, put it in the chat or write it down or picture in your mind. What's one step you could take this week to lower your oxidative stress? Okay, you got that? And then number two, now we want to raise our antioxidant protection. And one of the key ways we can do that is by adding more color to our plate. And again, I want to make this concrete. So remember that picture of foods. Which one did you identify as one that you like that would be easily to add to your plate this week? And can you this week, can you actually on purpose? My wife, meanwhile, is bringing me some color too. Got some fresh orange slices. Okay. What is at least one meal a day? Is it breakfast? Is it lunch? Is it dinner? Is it a snack where you could intentionally add one more piece of color? Or you could accomplish both step one and step two by replacing one thing that's less healthy with one item of color from nature on your plate. And again, you don't have to change everything. Let's make one change this week to lower the oxidative stress and then raise the antioxidant protection by adding color to your plate. And then the third step that we invite you to is to take a actual nutritional blend that is guaranteed to raise your score to actually get absorbed. Because here's another factor. Some of you, I'm curious, how many of you are taking or thought about taking some kind of nutritional supplement? Go ahead and put that in the chat or kind of anchor that for yourself because we're finding worldwide more and more people are taking, whether it's powders, capsules, blends, they're taking things to try to improve their nutritional health. But until now, no one's been able to measure whether it's actually getting absorbed and actually making a difference. Now, even I have been caught up by great intentions, okay, great marketing stories, great ingredients, great intentions, but then we still don't actually, in most cases, have anyone actually testing the ingredients directly or testing the absorption and the end result in the person. And so the nutritional blends I'm going to show you actually do have that clinical backing and that guarantee to get absorbed and to raise your nutritional health score on this Prysm Wellness Tracker. All right, so we invite you, in addition to step one and step two, to take a Prysm certified product or combo and embark on a 90-day experiment. In the US, it's actually 60 days. I guess they feel like the US has a shorter, needs a more immediate gratification. But in Europe, it's 90 days, okay, to do an experiment to raise your score and see what we can do to really put you on a healthier path, you and your family and your loved ones. Okay. I'm going to show you a little more on some solutions, but before we do that, I want to highlight one other area. Remember with the mitochondria? Hmm. I mentioned that there are two factors. One is oxidative stress, which damages our mitochondria, but the other factor is just that with time, they get worn out. They decrease in number and they decrease in efficiency. Well, we also are partnering with our scientists, the same scientists that developed this nutritional health tracker and have been gathering this data for over 2 decades. I also partner with the largest data bank of its kind in healthy gene expression and nutrients from nature that retune our gene expression to a more youthful, healthy pattern. What do I mean by that? What I'm talking about is how many of you have heard a violin or piano out of tune? Okay. And how many of you know that if you just keep playing a piano or a violin, or even if you don't play it, if you just leave it sitting there, over time, if you don't retune it, it's going to go out of tune. Okay. Well, that's what's happening in this gene expression, not only for our mitochondria, but for different tissues, including our brain and our overall health over time. And this has been a black box because we can't, until now, we haven't been able to see it. So we've just had to do the best we can to make healthy choices and hope that it's enough. But these scientists developed a chip that gave us a window into how our gene signals get out of tune as we age. We're not talking about changing the genes themselves. We're talking about the signals they give off. They get out of tune just like that violin or piano. And on the left here is a young, healthy pattern for young, healthy mitochondria, genes that affect our healthy mitochondria. In the middle is a middle-age pattern, and you can see the color pattern is almost completely flipped. The high signals are low, the low signals are high, and that's part of us just not bouncing back as quickly, not having as much stamina. Not how many of you have noticed you just don't feel the same as you did when you were in your teens or your 20s, okay? And you attribute it to, hey, I'm just getting older, I just got to live with it. Okay. But what they found is they're now able to screen blends from nature that retune the signals. And you can see here on the right, they found an ingredient that retune these signals back to the more youthful, healthy pattern. This is an approach called age lock. And if any of you are interested in reading, there is a book called The Aging Myth, written by Dr. Joe Chang, who first talked about this, as well as closing the health gap, okay, the aging, the youth gap, the youth span gap or health span gap between how long we live and how long we live healthy, okay, which tends to be a gap. He talked about closing it back in 2011, and he's just now releasing, I think you can pre-order it now on Amazon or Barnes& and Noble or at the bookstores, is an updated version of The Aging Myth. And he talks about this approach and what it can mean, as well as the latest in what we know now about things that can empower us to affect our health and our aging at the nutritional level. Okay, now let's go into a couple of these blends and solutions. So first, I want to talk about Europe. But before I talk about the specific solutions, this first part of the circle is going to apply to all of you. So any of you that have a pen and paper, you can draw this. Otherwise, enjoy watching as I talk about it. And I heard one of our scientists talk about this years ago. We're dividing a circle into three parts. In one part, I like to think of as our nutritional bank account, or NBA. That's what we've been talking about. And I often think about it, it's kind of like, a college student. Think of a college student having a monthly stipend where he gets a month amount for the whole semester, not a monthly stipend, a whole semester stipend, but he's not adding any new money in. Okay, so at first he's spending money, he's eating, he's going to movies, he's having fun with his friends. Everything's fine, right? Because he's got reserves in his bank account. But if he's not putting things back into his bank account at the level he's taking it out, what's going to happen eventually? One day he's going to go spend or write a check or charge his card and it's going to bounce. All right. That's what's happening with us. And we thought it was we're just getting older. I don't recover like I used to. I don't have the stamina or drive like I used to. But what we're finding, a lot of it is just that we haven't, it's been years now, we haven't been putting nutrients back in at the same rate that we're spending them, that we're using them up with our daily living. And so now things are starting to bounce. But when we start putting them back in, we can see that turn around. And I've been pretty amazed at the differences that we've seen in people who even were heading down a path toward needing medications or on medications who started experiencing a very different quality of life once we got their nutritional bank account improved. Now, the second area is antioxidants. Now, it kind of overlaps with nutritional bank account, but it's such a big area. That's why the first half of this talk we spent all on antioxidants and carotenoids in particular. So we give it its own piece of the pie by itself. And that's directly what's being measured by Prysm. But because, as I mentioned, carotenoids don't exist in nature alone or in our solutions alone, as you're raising those levels, you're also raising your nutritional bank account. And then the third area is what I just talked about is healthy gene expression. Okay, let me just give you a couple examples in Europe. If you were invited by someone in Europe, here are some of the solutions that can raise your nutritional bank account. And I put them over the pieces of the pie that they affect. So all of these will affect both your nutritional bank account and your antioxidants, because as I mentioned, none of them have antioxidants or carotenoids alone. They always have other nutrients as well, all the way down to our collagen plus, which collagen normally would not overlap with the antioxidant category. But the solution from the person who invited you, both in North America and in Europe, actually is called collagen plus because it has a carotenoid, an antioxidant from the marigold flower called lutein, which protects new collagen in your skin and actually can be tracked by Prysm because it gets absorbed into your tissues where it protects the new collagen in your skin. And lutein is also one of those carotenoids that is specifically beneficial to your eye health and your brain health. Okay. So again, these are all items. JVI is a wonderful juice. Multi Beauty is something for hair, skin, and nails. And then Life Pack and Marine Omega, Life Pack actually helps build both your nutritional bank account and antioxidants in perhaps the most comprehensive level. And then Marine Omega is your omega 3s, which are a whole class by themselves, which are everything all the way from in the womb to end of life, important for brain health, hormone, immune system. They support all these other areas as well. Then for your healthy gene expression, in both Europe and North America, you have something called age lock R squared. And I'll just show you over here on the right, because in Europe, I know some of you like to start as you're rebuilding your nutritional bank account with Collagen Plus, because it works from both the inside out, but you can see results on the outside. I'll show you some results in a second. Second is to really build your foundation with that Life Pack and Marine Omega 3s that I was just talking about. And then third, step three would be to add that healthy gene expression for brain, energy, and sexual health. That's something called R squared day, the day portion of R squared. And then cellular purification is the night portion of R squared. Don't worry if you're new here, you don't have to remember all this. The person who invited you can guide you. In fact, when we finish this, you're invited to get back with the person who invited you to get your own health assessment. They can do that virtually if you're not local, because in that health assessment, they can make some specific recommendations personalized to you. And if you are local, they can potentially help you get your scan, or local or non-local, they can talk to you about how you could get one of these devices yourself so you can track for yourself and for your family. Okay, here are some examples in Europe and just kind of the price range. I know Marion's in London, so we put this in pounds, but that Beauty Focus Collagen starting at just over £2 a day. Your Life Pack and Marine Omega really building your foundation at just over £4 a day. And then targeted solutions, we have both your R squared for that gene expression. We also have something called TRME Body Balance for metabolism and gut health, also natural blends. And if that's an area of interest to you, you can let the person who invited you know. And then there are certain ones of these that raise your Prysm score, which are guaranteed, or in 90 days, you get your money back from the company. So there's that amount of solid backing to the fact that these will get absorbed and make a difference for you. Now, here are Marion's results. Thank you, Marion, for sharing them
Yeah,
with collagen. This is, I believe, yeah, 90 days. So you can just see,
exactly.
and just looking at overall, there's a texture, there's a like brightness, more youthfulness. Like if I had to say this one looks a little more tired, stressed, a little more, excuse me, Mario, a little more haggard.
That's
Okay.
for
Whereas
sure.
this one looks more vibrant, youthful, and yet time-wise, this one is 3 months later than this one. Okay. Normally, you would expect things only to go downhill with time, but what we have here, without injections, without surgeries, just naturally replenishing the body's own collagen peptides and that lutein, which protects it in the skin, you can see the difference that this makes. And this also allows her to raise her own Prysm score. North America, I just wanted to show you the solutions that overlap here. Same pie chart, okay? But at the top, you have your Life Pack family, which I'll show you in a moment because we have three options there. We also have your omega 3s, your G3 juice, the Collagen Plus that we've been talking about. Now, we have something in the middle here that covers all three areas. That's our Age Lock Youth. It actually has nutrients that help replenish your nutritional bank account. It has potent antioxidants, and it actually helps retune healthy gene expression. And then we have still the R squared, because that's very specific to your mitochondria and your stamina, brain, and sexual health, as well as your cellular purification at night. So, and then in the US, we kind of have three steps. Build your foundation. This gives you a price range with that Life Pack family, starting at $1 a day to $3 a day to $5 a day. This is in North America. You have that step two if you really want to build that longevity with Age Lock Youth and healthy gene expression. And then step three are those targeted solutions: energy, sexual, and brain health. And then, I'm sorry, my slide got a little messed up here. Energy, sexual, and brain health. That's our squared here day on the left. The middle, skin health, would be collagen plus. And on the right, we have something called Age Lock Meta, which is gut and metabolic health. And that's unique here too. I believe that one is in the US. That also was 7 years in development. It's studying pigment in foods and finding the exact blends that help our microbiome, our gut lining, and our systemic metabolism of fat and sugar and overall metabolic balance. And I just wanted to highlight also, since this is a wellness masterclass, this makes a huge difference. That carotenoids, okay, the carotenoids in food and in our guaranteed Prysm solutions are best absorbed with healthy fats. Okay, they're fat soluble. That's why they get into the cell membranes and the mitochondria membranes. But in order to absorb them, it will help to have olive oil, which in Europe, you guys have that in your JVI. So if you take it together, that helps absorption. In the US, there is actually some natural fat in the G3 juice, also real butter, avocado, omega 3s, eggs, different foods that have some fat. In other words, it helps to take your carotenoids or your life pack and your key nutrients with some food. You'll get better absorption and then also to spread them out throughout the day. And I'm just going to close here and then we'll see if there are any questions. But just to share a little story. So this is me. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather today, but sometimes our body just needs to reset. And so that's why I'm sipping here some hot lemon and honey water. But this is me. I'm about to turn 60. Actually, I'm 59 and a half. I play soccer regularly with men 10, 20, sometimes 30 or more years, actually regularly with guys much younger, some of them in their teens or 20s. And we often play, this is a smaller game, but 6-on-6 and sometimes outside full 11-on-11. And my stamina at 59 and a half is much better than it was in my medical school years in my late 20s. Okay. And often at the end of the evening, I'm the last man standing or one of the last men standing, even among many of the teenagers and college students. And a lot of that I attribute, I'm not a big runner. I don't do tons of working out during the week. I try to just do movement snacks throughout my day. But I have for years now replenished my nutritional bank account with the solutions I just showed you, the Life Pack, something called Life Pack Nano, the Youth, and the R squared, which replenishes and renews my stamina. And it's made a huge difference for me. And just to give you another example, my wife in her 40s, when R squared day first came out, that supports the mitochondria, she was taking that along with our Life Pack and our Marine Omega. She'd always wanted to run a triathlon, but had never had a chance to do that as we were having kids. But after our sixth child, we thought we were done. In her 40s, she started training on, and she was on our nutritionals and got on the R squared day for the mitochondria. And she said she noticed she was able to go longer, swimming in Lake Michigan or jogging along the lake. She realized she wasn't getting tired. Her stamina was much better than it used to be. And she ended up running two triathlons back to back, 1 week apart, two triathlon sprints. We're really proud of her. And then we found out that she was already expecting our number 7. And so we call him our R squared vitality day baby. And so that's just the difference that these kinds of solutions can make. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And I want to invite you to get back with the person who invited you to get your own health assessment, even if it's done virtually. And if you would like to know more about this device and the difference this could make, we're finding for families that have this and kids that are scanning, for instance, weekly, that they're paying more attention to the fruits and vegetables that they're eating and actually asking their parents for the first time in their lives for more fruits and vegetables because they want to see their scan score go up. And then, of course, with these guaranteed healthy blends, you can see that make a difference for you. And those juices like the JVI in Europe and the G3 here in the US is available for kids as well. So, Marion, that's what I had for today, unless you want to
Wow.
see if there's any questions or if you would like to just invite people to get back with the person who invited them, and then we'll do this hopefully again probably next month.
And there were a few people that had their hands raised
Mm,
that I don't know if they want to raise their hand again.
okay.
It was happening at the beginning of the presentation, but if those of you who
Okay.
did raise your hand, if you,
Some of them might have been raising their hands in answer to my questions I was asking everybody. But yes, does
yeah,
anybody have a question that they'd like to come live right now or put in the
Danielle,
chat?
Danielle would like to. I'm going to bring her next to you right now.
Hi, Danielle. Good to see you.
Hi, Ben. Thank you so much. I was just messaged Tasman and said I could literally listen to you all day. I'm so grateful for this.
Danielle,
Um,
it's so good to see you.
Thank you, and it's so nice to hear from you, Artemis. How are you?
I'm good.
Um, just wanted to ask a quick question. Obviously, you probably know I have a skin clinic, and obviously with the Prysm, it's really, really interesting, finding it really exciting to be able to add into my consultations. Obviously, Life Pack we've had for quite a while, and I know how you've always obviously talking about like skin health and stuff. But I just wanted to ask, like, how would you, in the sense of with Life Pack, obviously I know it's really good for obviously health and everything else, and that's like the main focus with antioxidants. But when it comes to like clients specifically with maybe like skin concerns like acne and things like that, like would the Life Pack be a really good product for them to be able to like utilize as a supplement?
Oh, what a great question. We'd have to do some research specifically on acne. Maybe you already have some that's your area. I will tell you guys, I was just seeing, and this was actually quite a number of years ago, a study that was done around skin cancers, and they found that in the tissue surrounding the cancer, the levels of carotenoids was markedly low. And so,
Amazing.
so definitely, and now I know New Skin is doing studies specifically with Prism scores and skin health. So we definitely know because skin is one of our largest organs that concentrates the carotenoids, and that's why it's included in our collagen and why you saw those great results on Mario. And I'm just saying this for everybody, because the carotenoids do make a huge difference. I believe there was a study a number of years ago, actually in the UK, that also showed that people with better carotenoid levels were more attractive to the opposite sex. That's because of their glow, their healthy glow. And so there's something definitely there that it does help the healthy glow. And how many of you know when someone looks vibrant and healthy, that is more attractive? So whether it specifically affects acne, I wouldn't be surprised if it did, but at the same time, it definitely affects that healthy glow and radiance of the skin. And that definitely would make a difference.
Okay, so I just want to add something that having been somebody who had to deal with adult acne for 30 years, I wish I'd known this when I was going through it, but one of the key things that people don't know for their skin is that gut health is directly related. But a lot of adult acne, depends on whether it's teenage or adult, is hormonal, because your hormones are in spurts. They're not even. It's why 1 minute you can be fine and an hour later you can have acne. So, but gut health has a lot to do with that. So, in addition to a life pack, I would pick, here in the US, we have New Biome. In Europe, you guys may have something different that you're using, but that can also be something that somebody who's dealing with acne. There are a few topical things that we can help with as well. But gut health has a lot more to do with the skin than people realize. The number one thing you can do for your antioxidants, again, one of the things Ben said with your nutritional bank account is when that is high, everything works better. So as a baseline, that's very important when people are in that red and orange. Get that up because everything is compromised, your body's ability to regulate things. And then I would add gut health. And then there's a few things topically that can really help.
I see a couple questions in the chat. You have TR Me available in the UK, some of which actually addresses gut health. Gary Kent with the question about hair health. You actually have something specific I'm not sure what country.
G3 and then GV, their version of it, G3 Ben, also for the gut health over there. They
Yes.
have their
Oh
version.
my goodness. Yes. JVI or JV, yes, will definitely help is important. And G3 here, yes, for gut health. For hair health, yes, someone's putting here collagen life pack and omega, yes. And then also for your hair health, so our collagen plus would be a specific one. And then you also have something called multi beauty, which is specific for hair, skin, and nails, which can be either a standalone or it can complement the life pack and marine omega. So that's a great
It's
question.
vegan
Um,
supplement.
Let's see. Someone's asking about scanning. We generally don't recommend scanning more than once a day. So our blood levels will fluctuate. Okay, our own blood levels fluctuate frequently, but tissue levels fluctuate a little less frequently. But this is a very sensitive instrument. It's measuring a lot of different things in 700,000 measurements in 15 seconds. And so you will see some minor fluctuations, just like any medical instrument. Within a certain range, it's really essentially the same number. But if you're not, there is a certain protocol for how you want to measure that I'd recommend getting with the person who invited you. Generally, we like it on a flat surface. I rest my hand on a surface and I have my whole end of my finger just above the crease, covering the tip without pressing. I just want to hold it lightly on there to get my score. And I generally try to do it at the same time of day. So I'm comparing myself in the same way. Someone asked about fingerprints. This doesn't need your fingerprint. It's actually just measuring your tissue levels. It's light reflecting off your skin. So it should be fine.
I'd like to just add one thing. First of all, that was amazing, Ben, Dr. Ben. I just want you guys to realize it's so fun listening to him. And a lot of times when I'm wondering things, Dr. Ben will go under the covers and go, hey, here's a few other things. So it's been really fun to learn. But one of the things that's unique here is that you are able to work at the gene expression level when it comes to natural supplementation. No one else has that gene science. I don't know if everyone here, guests definitely would know this, that Nu Skin owns the largest, one of the largest privately owned anti-aging research labs. And the science that we do is original. And the gene expression science is very unusual. And the database of what we have, because we own a company called LifeGen, allows us to formulate very uniquely. And Ben showed you that slide, but I wanted you guys to know it's not like this level of science at the gene expression level where you can tune your symphony is available anywhere. There's not comparative things. And so you're running across something very unique, whether you're working on the skin, beauty and wellness from the outside in, or whether you're working from the inside out. There's some very unique things that Ben brought to the table.
So you're all ready to decrease your oxidative stress. Did you pick one thing? Add one item of color to your plate, and then get on your 60-day in North America or 90-day experiment with the health solutions. Get back with the person who invited you for your own health assessment or to get your own Prysm. And we look forward to getting healthier and helping the world get healthier together with you all.
Thank you
Thank you,
so
Mario.
much,
And thank you,
It
Ben.
was
Artemis.
Thank
amazing.
you.